All right, Jesse on fire. Welcome back. Couple breaking stories. The big one, I can't even believe I'm the big one is that Jake Paul and Logan Paul are going to have a sparring match on Cinemax or on Max, and then market it as the blowout fight of the century. Everybody's been waiting to see who would win in a fight between Jake and Logan. And listen, after that performance with Mike Tyson, I know, at least from my seat, I definitely believe that they're going to fight each other 100% and be definitely trying to knock each other out, because, they're brothers. I can't imagine that following the same game plan from last time. It's like, we can market the hell out of this thing. We'll get into the ring and, we'll box. But more it's about the marketing than it is about finding out who the best in the world is. And when they're brothers, I can't imagine a world where they're trying to knock each other out. Who knows? I mean, that's my hypothesis. I hope I'm wrong. But we'll go through the details of this upcoming fight, and we'll also talk about some unbelievable numbers that are being reported in this article about the Tyson and Jake Paul fight. But we're also going to talk about this in the second half of the video. So Conor McGregor and Paul Hughes got into a very heated exchange shortly after the Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes fight. Now, I'm going to be honest, dude. In this case, when I saw how this went down, I understand why Conor was mad, dude. Like, I know why he was mad, and I will defend his initial reaction to it. Now, I mean, he said some things that I would not say, just like, I don't know, weird stuff. I'll read it to you, but that's not a thing I would ever say. And I'm not saying I'm not capable of being a complete prick. It's just, I don't know, Conor's is just kind of gross. Something about sucking farts out of his ass or something. I don't know. It's just not a thing I would say, regardless. But like I said, I completely understand why he's pissed, and we'll go through that. And then also, and I think this is probably the biggest story of all of them, at least for me, because we're going to be able to validate or, devaluate what? We're going to validate or verify that my theory was not correct. That Dana and, TKO or, UFC or whatever are behind this BKFC investment. So, Conor invested in BKFC and then became, one of the very visible kind of faces of that organization, more in a Dana White type role than in a fighter role. But he has been saying that he wants to fight. And after the Jeremy Stephens fight, where Jeremy Stephens knocked out Eddie Alvarez, Conor says he wants to fight Jeremy Stephens. Now, those guys have history. Absolutely have history. Remember, who the fuck is that guy? That guy was Jeremy Stephens. So it makes sense. But the reality is about the contract and his ability to potentially actually take that fight is more complicated because of his UFC contract. But it's not impossible. But that's how I'm saying, when we get into that process, if he ends up actually fighting against Jeremy Stephens, absolutely for sure the UFC's and the BKFC, they're like silent partners, which is what I've thought all along. Anyway, we're going to get into all of that. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. I appreciate you guys doing that. And I also want to give you a quick look at the sponsor of this video, Prize Picks. Now, if I told you that you could make $50 for free if you take 90 seconds of your time to do something, it's something that you would do, especially if the 90 seconds is going to be something fun. Because that's exactly what Prize Picks and I are offering you right now. I want to be very clear. There is no gimmick here. There's no chance where this does not lead to $50 free for you. There's nothing you have to pick right. There's no game you have to win. If you play a $5 roster on Prize Picks, you will get $50 into your account, whether you win or lose the roster that you entered. How much you can win in addition to the automatic $50 depends on the size of the roster that you pick, but I'll let you play around with that a little bit. Now, you also could try to win real big and play more than $5, but you don't have to. Take a look over here. Look at what I stand to win if I hit this roster. Hold me accountable to this. I'm putting it on my channel. I'm putting my face on it. Hold me accountable, and also hold me accountable to this. This game is super fun. You're going to want to play. As you can see on the left side of the screen, all you do is go through the athletes that you want to pick in a specific sport. In this case, we're doing UFC because my girl Rose Namajunas is fighting on Saturday. In addition to MMA, they have college basketball, college football, NBA, NFL, any sport you could think of, you can play on Prize Picks. Now, in the roster you see over here, this is obviously a UFC roster. I'm playing a $5 game, which means if this was my first game, I would see a free $50 put into my account the second that the game starts. So come join me for Prize Picks. It's an amazing game. You'll be supporting my channel and you'll be getting free money. Also, look at my roster, take a screenshot, and then you can see how I did. And also, I want to know who you guys are picking. Send me your rosters if you want. Link is in the description. Use promo code JesseOnFire for the $50 bonus, and that is what it is. All right, so let's start with the Jake Paul and Logan Paul situation. This is in USA Today yesterday. So Jake Paul versus Logan Paul, the brothers jointly announced it Tuesday on social media, describing it as the moment you've waited a decade for. But there's mounting speculation, and for good reason to believe this will not be an actual boxing match. The post from the brothers on X, formerly Twitter, indicates the event will be streamed March 27th on Max. I'll tell you right now, this is, what's the right way to put it? I know people on that team, dude. And this is, like, they absolutely have talked about doing this fight. As a matter of fact, when Tyson first had the ulcer, what I said to them, I mean, sure they would have come up with this on their own anyway, but I said literally the first hour when I talked to them, I'm like, the only possible replacement for Tyson that could do that could, kind of garner the same amount of attention would be if Logan stepped in. And so I know for 100% sure that they had that conversation. Also, Logan said that he would step in for Tyson in the event that Tyson was not able to make the walk. So obviously they've been talking about fighting because of that situation. And then now they announced that that's the next fight. I actually don't think that, I think it actually will be them fighting. The real question is, are they actually going to fight and try to knock each other out, which I am extraordinarily suspect of, because why would you? Like, you want to try to knock, I mean, I don't know, who knows? Maybe they're actually that competitive. Once they get in there, it's like, oh, you've been little broing me my whole life. Because if anybody's getting knocked out in that fight, it's Logan. Okay, like, let's just make that perfectly clear that in the event that these guys fight full throttle, Jake's going to starch Logan for sure. But again, I don't think that they will. It'll still be a fun event that I'll watch regardless. But more information is expected Thursday that will likely clarify the nature of the event. It is not listed on BoxRec, which charts sanctioned professional and amateur fights. BoxRec does not list exhibitions. There you go. It's an exhibition, which means can't knock each other out, right? Well, I don't know about can't, but my guess is won't. A prospective fight between Logan Paul and Conor McGregor has failed to materialize, and Jake Paul has yet to announce his next fight since beating Mike Tyson on November 15th by unanimous decision. So the reason why that never materialized is because of what we're going to talk about shortly about Conor's contract situation with the UFC. He can't just go fight. He can't just fight. He has 2 fights left on his UFC contract. He's under contract. I don't know how long. I don't know if he has a sunset clause. And anybody who's not familiar, sunset clause is a date that the fighter is out of their contract either way. So it's like, no matter whether if you did a 5-fight deal and you've only fought 4 times, but you hit the sunset clause date, your contract's, it's over, right? You're free to test free agency. But yeah, I mean, listen, dude, with anything that the UFC does with Conor, you can rest assured that they have covered their ass as hard as they can. Because Conor going and fighting for another organization is that's not a good outcome for them. That's actually potential catastrophe. However, like I said, I think that they might be in BKFC, and that's their hedge with Conor. But yeah, so like when it was the Logan Paul Conor McGregor potential fight, the only way you're going to get the UFC to agree to that is if they're getting paid an astronomical amount of money. So if that's not the case, why on earth would they greenlight it? Because they told them no. Like, the UFC didn't like it. I mean, imagine if Conor lost to Logan Paul, dude. So, but check this out. It'll be hard to top the numbers from Paul's blockbuster bout against Tyson. That fight, held in front of 72,300 people at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, generated more than $18 million at the live gate. More than any boxing event in the U.S. outside of Nevada. Netflix said its broadcast of the fight peaked with 65 million live streams, including 38 million in the U.S. alone. That is so crazy. And that is why the system crashed, Anyway, all right, so let's move over to, let me just touch on that really quick, okay? I basically already said everything that I need to say, but I'll just reiterate. The bottom line is, if you guys didn't know what I was referencing, when Conor invested in BKFC, he's now an owner in BKFC. Now, I had seen a post where Dave Feldman, the owner of BKFC, had met with Dana a couple months prior to that. They put it up on Instagram. And so you already know that they were in contact and talking. So if I'm the UFC, now I also personally had insight into the amount of money that BKFC was going out and trying to raise. Okay. Like I know how much they were trying to raise total for their funding round. So, and what I'm telling you is like, it's a lot of money for a company at the stage that BKFC is in. It's not a lot of money for UFC, right? If they wanted to, if they wanted to buy up 50% of the total raise, right? If they wanted to put that in and then, allow Conor to come in and maybe some other investors. Bottom line is this would be a no-brainer investment for them because the risk is so low, because if it went belly up, it's not the end of the world. But if you structure that deal where you're investing, Conor's investing, okay, now you are tied to Conor. So even if he ends up out of his UFC contract, you've hedged your bet against Conor going and building up another organization, because the other organization that he would help build up, you're a partner in, which means that anything that's good there is good for you. Simple as that. And then you also are positioned where you already own preferred stock in the company, and you can, use that position to then potentially acquire the entire company if you decided that that's what you wanted to do. Anyway, okay, so Conor McGregor deletes X-rated tweets about Paul Hughes over post-fight exchange with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Okay, so listen, like at the end of the day, what happened is Paul Hughes. Actually, you know what? Let me just show. I'll show you a clip real quick. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was in this one. Actually, check this out. Okay, here we go. So Conor initially, obviously, very supportive of his Irish brother Paul Hughes, and then this video came out.
I'm not like this other guy. I'm my own man. I'm not like this other guy. The media try to make us like not respect, but I always have respect.
So again, Conor did not like that at all, and again, I can see why, man. I can see why. I don't think. I mean, obviously, I understand Paul Hughes wanting to, be respectful of Khabib and their team and all them. Like and if you didn't have a hardcore personal problem with that guy or those with that team, like why would you want a problem with them? They're like the most respectful guys in the world. But you can just have a good relationship with them. You don't need to shit on the entire reason that your career exists. You know what I mean? Like how many famous Irish MMA fighters were there before Conor McGregor? Okay. None is the answer, right? None that were a big deal. Paul Hughes, Ian Gary, those types of guys owe their career to Conor McGregor in a lot of ways. So it is reasonable if you're Conor McGregor to watch that and be like, is this guy fucking serious? Like you could just not say anything, if you're trying to, demonstrate that you're not like Conor McGregor in your exchange with those guys, just don't be like Conor McGregor, or at least don't treat them like Conor McGregor treated them hyping the fight. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to specifically say, I'm not a piece of shit like that guy. I mean, it's not like a super big deal, obviously, but I do understand why Conor was pissed. So Conor went off on him and apparently they've deleted some of them. Let me see. Hang on. He said some nasty stuff. He said, he said, I'm not like that other guy. And Conor tweeted, "You're right. You're not, ass licker." And then he said, get that flag off, you little know what you are from up there. Okay, I don't really know exactly what that means. But, yeah, Khabib apparently responded to all of that too. So Hughes fell to an incredible fight, obviously. But several members of the MMA fraternity believe Hughes, who entered the contest as a huge underdog, had done enough to win the bout, including McGregor, who was incredibly complimentary of the 27-year-old's performance in the immediate aftermath. Tremendous fight and performance. Easy win for Hughes. He dominated the fight. Then like a second later, Paul, he's like, hey, I'm not like that guy. Dude, that feels like a slap in the face when you like go out of your way to be nice to someone and then they they turn around and say something like, I'm not like that guy. It's like, really? The Nurmagomedovs are not fighters. They are the most non-fighting fighters out of Dagestan in all time. What? What is he talking, dude? Apparently he deleted a bunch of these, so like he's probably blitzed. You know, he's like, you guys are the least fighting fighters out of the fighting community in the fights in Dagestan. You're all, what? I mean, that's confusing. The niceties ended when the dual weight UFC champion caught wind of what seemed to be a reference about him. Yeah. Too right, you're not. He said, get that flag out. Oh, he's called him a C word that rhymes with bunt. He said, up the real Irish, F these vermin F. McGregor later deleted his tweets, but not before Hughes delivered a classy response. McGregor, this is what Hughes said back. McGregor always said you were the GOAT, paid homage at every opportunity, but coming at my Irish identity just shows where your head is at. Probably just should have left it at the beginning, dude. Like, Conor always said you were the GOAT, paid homage at every opportunity. The end. You know, probably could have mended that fence. Thank you, Khabib. I have great respect for you and your team and your nation. I would be honored to take you up on this offer someday and then return the favor in Ireland, but please only after I get my rematch with Usman. See, that's nice. Again, like what you're talking about is you're talking about the difference between a like genuine, like kind of Spartan way of approaching it where, you know, you always show respect to your opponents. You know, there's this, and there's no reason for the extra, but the reality is that what on earth just happened right there? Anyway, so the reality is that if you want to be like the GOAT of the sport, you know, like in terms of, or I'm sorry, of the business, you're not going to be able to do that with that approach. Just bottom line. Now, again, when I say the GOAT in the business, you understand I'm talking about generating attention and generating money. Okay. Now, if your priorities are not generating maximum money and generating maximum attention, then you can approach it just like Paul Hughes is doing. But you will never, ever, ever reach the pinnacle of the fight of combat sports like Conor McGregor did without doing that unless you are given the incredible opportunity to be on the other side of the octagon with someone like Conor McGregor at the absolute peak of their fame, and you have such an absolutely insane rivalry that when you beat him, you literally adopt all of his clout and fame, because that's how that works, you know? Because if you really think, like, I mean, I'm not, this is obviously nothing against Khabib, but I'm saying if you think Khabib becomes the level of star that he is without Conor McGregor as part of his journey, you're out of your mind. Now, he would have been a star regardless. He's very, very good at promoting fights. He's obviously an incredible person, an incredible fighter, but he would have never gotten to where he was without Conor being there for him to run over. When, you know, Conor insults, you know, I don't know, a billion Muslims or whatever, insults all of Dagestan, and it's Conor McGregor coming off of Mayweather. And so you got half the world wants him to win, half the world wants him to lose, but everybody cares a lot about the outcome. And then Khabib goes in, you know, you had the bus incident. Khabib goes in there and smashes him, and then boom, Khabib is who he is. So I mean, if the person who's being the prick is doing it strategically, I respect that, you know, but only if they're doing it with a grand vision in mind. Because generally speaking, I think it's stupid to talk shit unless your goal is to either get under the skin of your opponent. You know, like your approach is actually a well-crafted strategy to make them fight not as good, or a larger vision where, you know, you're taking over the industry or whatever, you know, like I believe Conor had. But, you know, these people that like I don't know. I guess really, honestly, I respect it if they're good at it. You know what I mean? If they're good at it, I respect it. If they just kind of half-ass it and it comes off all stupid, I'm like, shut up, dude. Or if they go too hard, you know, like they go too hard to where it makes you not like them, and not in a good way. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I got for today, though. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Bye-bye.